Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Open to Life podcast. Today, we are recording actually on my launch day on Valentine's Day 2025. And I actually have a very special guest with me today. Y'all knew this was coming. You already know what it is. Salento. The man, the myth, the legend, the king, my king, Jerry Sharp III. Welcome, Jerry. Thank you for being with us today.
Hello, yes. We just got off of a wonderful Valentine's Day date. And if you're watching this on Spotify, our outfits are on point. So, happy to be here.
Yes, so since it's Valentine's Day, we had to do a little something, right? Like we had to do a little something.
Of course.
So Jerry,
Not what you're thinking.
Not that.
Hold that thought.
Jerry, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about your wedding night.
So this episode, we wanted it to be like advice that we would give if our friends came to us and they were like, Melanie and Jerry, we're engaged. We are like so excited to unite in the marital act.
We've been listening to the podcast.
Listening to the podcast. You guys are friends. We know we can come to you and ask advice. And we need to know, what should we expect on our wedding night? Give us any tips, tricks, hacks. What do we need to know? Let's start from the beginning. The reception's over, or maybe the reception's not over. Maybe you snuck away after the ceremony. I mean, you married. You can do what you want. So like, let's just say we're out with our friends, we're chatting, and the scenario that we're painting for them is, okay, you just got to your hotel room or whatever room. What's your first advice?
So my advice is, if you're getting married, that you have somebody in your wedding party, or even someone not that's married, and you ask them, could you spruce up our hotel room or wherever, if it's possible? Because good friends of ours actually did that on our wedding night, and it was special.
Yeah, not every couple opts into that. It's up to you. We've offered that to several couples. One couple did take us up on that offer, and they kept messaging us like, thank you so much, like we really loved it. And another couple kindly declined, and that's okay. That's up to you if you want somebody to do up your room for you. Oh, and if it's not already obvious, yes, in this episode we are talking about sex.
Yes, I'm her husband. Just in case that wasn't very obvious.
This is my hubby. So I would definitely encourage you, the couple, to get your bridesmaids, your groomsmen, whoever that you're close with that you wouldn't mind setting up the room. Okay, now in that room, Jerry, what are some things that you would say are necessary or like helpful?
100%. Well, for context, I used to work at a 5-star resort back in San Antonio.
That's true.
So this was something that we were very accustomed to, was honeymoon nights. And we would have a package that would incorporate, of course, the chocolate-covered strawberry, champagne. But my favorite was the rose petal turn down, is what we called it. And so I think at least having flowers in there, leading from the door to the bed, because, that is ultimately where the marital act will happen.
Well, it can happen wherever you want.
It can happen in the back of a car.
in the car on the way to the hotel, in the shower, in the bathtub, y todo, like wherever you want.
Or all of the above.
I mean, you married. Unite wherever you want to unite.
Yes.
Just not in public.
Yeah, so...
Not in front of other people.
Viewer discretion, listener discretion. One thing that was really helpful that our couple friends did that were married previously, they said, okay, what you need are towels. Uh, like that is number one thing you need is towels for less cleanup. The other thing was lubrication. Although for us youngins, um, you don't necessarily need it, but for first timers like us, like it definitely helped. I believe yes, you were definitely in your menstrual phase on our wedding night.
Oh
So
no,
that was a
I
story.
got my period the day of our wedding. So it was nice to have that confidence, like I'm not fertile. But yeah, our first time having sex was period sex.
Yes. So red towels definitely came in handy.
Yes. It's so funny now being married and watching movies now. We always look away when there's a sex scene, like we look away because that's pornography. Whether you want to believe it or not. The little sex scenes, the even if they're like alluding to sex, like that is pornography, even though it's not on some pornographic website, it's pornographic. So I always like look away, close my eyes, I cover Jerry's eyes.
Yes.
But the thing that we can laugh about now is how it's really funny and quite sad the way how they portray sex as with no cleanup, like there's no towel afterwards. Like somehow the couple they just wake up and they're naked the next morning. They're like, oh wow, like they just had sex and then fell asleep, like rolled over and fell asleep, and there was no cleanup.
There's no waddle to the restroom.
In real life, there's cleanup. Like, and in real life, girly pops, you need to go pee afterwards. Ideally, you should go pee in order to prevent urinary tract infections. So it's so funny watching these like movies now and we're like, where was the cleanup? And we're like, hold up, homegirl didn't go to the restroom. What? Like, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say about the visualizations of, or like the way how sex is portrayed in movies, TV shows, and also, dare I say, pornography, though I'm not so familiar with actual forms of pornography that you would find on a porn website. But they make it seem like sex is just penetration and both people orgasm and it's great and it's blissful and yee hee ha ha yee ha and that's it. Like there was nothing needed in order to reach that point.
Right.
So you need towels. You don't want to worry about getting semen or your arousal fluid on the bed sheets and cleaning up yourself, like getting all that on the bed sheet. So you need ideally a towel, something to clean yourself with. Or he can lovingly clean you. And you're like, thank you so much. Now that I didn't have to hurry off to the restroom. And you need to pee, ideally. And there needs to be foreplay even before you get there. So we're kind of, I mean, those are some like actual physical things you need, but you also really need foreplay. And depending on foreplay, you may or may not need lube. But for the first time, you're probably gonna want lube.
Right. And Melanie just learned about this the other day.
And I've been harping on him now.
Constantly talking about it. It's great. It's a good reminder, but there's something before foreplay.
It's called before play. Wow. So there's the actual foreplay, as you can imagine, kissing and touching in the erogenous zones, getting each other sexually stimulated. But the before play starts before the foreplay, with your hubby washing the dishes, with hubby coming home from work on time, with hubby changing the baby's diaper, with hubby giving you a break from the baby so you can take a shower. Or what are some other forms of before play that you can think of, Jerry?
Putting things up where they're supposed to be, breakfast in bed.
Listening when she talks.
Right. Scientifically, women get aroused through emotions, and it's throughout the day. Guys were always fertile 24/7, 365 days a year. We don't need much. We probably just need the flash of the boobs to get us in the mood. But for women, especially Melanie, definitely it's acts of service that really does it for her. Yeah.
I feel like what men need to start doing, instead of just thinking like, I'm gonna come home from work and I'm gonna bang my wife later. What you need to start thinking is from the moment you wake up, if the end goal is, I would love to unite with my spouse later today, what do I need to do? What can I do so that we can unite? And that my wife won't be like, you want to unite with me, but you came home from work late. You didn't put your stuff up. You didn't help with the baby. You didn't massage me like you said you would.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're trying to have sex with me? No, sir. The foreplay, the before play began all way back then, way back when. So, in the advice, like giving to the friends, I would want to emphasize that to the dude, like, sex begins, the before play begins way before the actual intercourse begins.
Obviously, the couple's not going to be having those opportunities. Except actually, I would say the reception would be very critical. You know, if the guy's a good dancer and the woman's really into him, he dips her really low, kisses her. So we're giving advice to the newly married couple and on their wedding.
Well, I like picture like we have engaged friends and they're coming to us and we're like, y'all, we're excited to unite together, but no one's ever talked to us about sex and we know we can come to you guys.
Oh yeah.
Like, what would we say? And I think we like towel, lube, pee, foreplay,
Just
foreplay.
try not to base our experiences of what we see like on the screens or what we've
Totally. Everything
heard.
you've seen on TV,
Throw it out the window.
throw it out the window. Crush it up, throw it out, stomp on it, burn it. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. I think the entire pornographic industry and what is portrayed in movies and TV is the idea of sex that men have. That women don't need foreplay. All they need is penetrative coitus and
Whoa.
hooray.
Fourth
That's
episode.
that.
What does that mean?
Coitus is literally the like scientific definition of sex. Penis and vagina.
Oh.
Sex.
Okay.
So,
which is beautiful. I've created it.
Yes, but my point is like the way how sex is portrayed is that it's just that.
Right.
And that's all women need.
Mm.
And hooray, somehow they both magically orgasmed at the same time.
Mm.
So that would be my other point in talking to this engaged couple, that both spouses should try to orgasm. That orgasm for women is just as important as it is for men. And it may take a little more work for the woman to climax, but this is the way how God designed it for women, and it is good, and it is healthy, it is holy for spouses to unite in this way.
It definitely took some practice getting up to the level that I understood where everything was, the body parts, because, you know, never had been exposed to that. But I think another crucial aspect is for the woman to be very communicative and straightforward and upfront. Like, no, it's down here. Like a lot of the times, and I really hope our parents don't watch this. Do not send this.
Hey, Mom. I don't care because this is normal. This is a part of life.
Sometimes it's dark and the simple of like, nope, wrong hole, and you're like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me that.
So communication
on what's happening, what's going down, what's doing it for her is another thing, and then, you know, there's rhythm in it. Ultimately, just do it like Nike. Just do it. You know, first time, don't worry so much about anything, because the true becoming one flesh happens there. So just get it over with and then get back to the rest of the reception.
Get back to the drawing board.
Just because you have your whole lives to figure it out. And,
totally.
And we're still figuring it out too, as well, in some cases.
Really? I feel like I'm a sexpert.
Okay.
Okay. I gotta humble myself. But for context, Jerry and I both saved sex for marriage. So our wedding night was the first time that we ever shared our bodies in that way with anyone. And what I like to think of sex as is kind of like a skill. I don't want to say like riding a bike, like you never forget it, but it's kind of like the more you do it, the better you get at it.
As in everything.
Yes. And I feel like there may be this perception like, oh my gosh, but won't it be so awkward if we've never had sex before? And won't it just be so weird?
I think it'd be more awkward if the person was really good and you're like, hello.
Excuse me? Where did this come
What's going on
from?
here?
Yeah. I feel like for me, it felt very natural to have sex for the first time with my husband who was my boyfriend, who was my fiance. Like for me it just felt like, of course, this is the natural next step. Like this is what happens now. It didn't feel weird. Also because I feel like I married my best friend. And I feel like, I have no secrets from you. I feel like, no one will ever know me the way you know me. No one will ever know my body the way you know my body. And it just felt, of course, this is the natural course of events. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel awkward. It just felt like, yes. How can you be scared by your soulmate, your best friend, seeing you in such a vulnerable, open stage? Like, I didn't feel shy. Maybe I felt a little shy. How was it for you? How did you feel?
I would say the only awkward part was trying to figure out a position that worked.
Yeah.
I would just stick with the basics first couple times as advice. The only thing that was awkward was going back because our reception ended, and then we went off on our getaway carriage, and then it dropped us off at the hotel. And then after we consummated the marriage, we took a nap, and then we woke up close to midnight, and we met up back with our wedding party because we had a party bus for free. Somehow we got it in a giveaway. One of our friend bridesmaids.
Shout out Liz, love you Liz.
Yeah, so she got us a 2-hour party bus from midnight to 2 a.m.
That was so much fun.
Which was it was an after party, literally. And that was kind of maybe more awkward was everyone knew, like, they were kind of like, did they do it? And the one thing that signified was I threw your garter.
You did. You shot it like a slingshot in the party bus.
That was fun.
But all the guys were like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And it should be celebrated.
It wasn't awkward.
Yeah.
I didn't think.
After the initial, like, yep. It was more of a celebration, and it should be. Yeah.
So, communication was another big thing we said.
Crucial.
And at first, it may feel awkward to start talking. I feel like it was awkward for me to be more verbal to you of like, oh, I don't really like that, or that actually hurts me. I feel like it took me time to build up that courage. But now, I feel like it doesn't take me much effort to just verbalize to you like, oh, can we try this? Oh, can we do this? I'm not really enjoying this. What? Why you look at me like that for?
I just feel like it's usually it's all me of asking, is this okay? How are you doing?
Well, good example of communication that you're checking in with me.
Yes.
And then I tell you, oh, I'm not really liking this.
Right.
When it comes to like positions, I feel like that's where, at least for the first time, like lube comes in. Now, you may not need lube if foreplay helps you with your own like arousal
natural
fluid, because your arousal fluid is your own like natural lubrication, but you may want lube. It doesn't hurt to have it. Rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That would be another thing I would tell the engaged couple is like, your honeymoon is going to be like sex galore. You are going to be banging every few hours, probably. You're going to have the most sex ever in your life.
Especially if you go on a cruise, which I highly recommend. It gave us opportunities for many times to like go back to the room. Like, just have fun with it. There were many times where Melanie was like, let's go over here. And I'm like, ah, like a kid in a candy store.
He's referring to having sex in public places.
Semi public places. Yeah, I guess so. Spruce it up. It's only that humans have been procreating since the beginning of time.
Yeah, you won't be the first or last person to have sex in public.
No, and
Melanie, not special.
No, just do it. But Melanie is so funny. She brings this up every now and then. That she looks at someone, she's like, "Wow, that person's here because their parents had sex."
Do y'all ever get just moments like that where you're just reflecting, like, "Whoa, everyone's here because two more people procreated, had sex, and made them, and then two more people made them, and two more people made them, and everyone is here because people had sex."
Yeah, so you're not special. Don't reinvent the wheel.
So back to the engaged couple. We're chatting with them. They're just like, "Tell me what I need to know." Like, what else? Maybe talking specifically to the guys. What would you tell your brother? Let's say me and homegirl. Oh, we're gonna go to the restroom. We're gonna take a girly pop restroom break. And now it's just you and him. What would you tell him? What does he need to know for the wedding night?
I feel like I've been in situations where I have given advice, or I would say, "Hey, just ask me questions." But if the guy doesn't know what questions to ask,
exactly,
then you don't know how to answer it. So I think you should just give unsolicited advice. So my unsolicited advice to the guy in the brief half hour that the girls are in the restroom, would just to be like, make sure her needs are met first, because once yours are met, like it's pretty hard to like recover from that.
In other words, she comes first.
Yes.
COMES. She comes first.
Yes, right, exactly. I see what you did there.
But
Wow.
I would tell the guy, like, I feel like one important thing he needs to know is you need to find her clitoris. She may not know. Y'all need to find it together. The clitoris, y'all, has over 80,000 nerve endings.
Insane.
More nerve endings than the penis. And the sole function of the clitoris, I'm serious.
Yeah, I know.
And the sole function of the clitoris is to orgasm.
Arousal, yeah.
That's it. That's literally it. And God designed it this way. God gave us our clitoris purely for orgasming. Whereas the penis has multiple functions.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And our way to orgasm is through stimulating the clitoris. So if you somehow went off and my girly pop went off and I'm alone with the boy, I'd be like, "Listen, brother, she comes first. Okay, make sure, yes, her needs are met. Make sure you're having good foreplay, because majority of sex is the foreplay. And you got to find her clitoris, man. You got to find it. And you got to stimulate the clitoris." And I'll be like, "Snap out of it." And I'll be like, I'm slapping him. And I throw some water on him. You can't be thinking that penetration alone is going to bring her to orgasm. Because it's not. And if you orgasm and she doesn't, that's going to be really bad for the future of your marriage. If you don't work to get her to orgasm also.
Right. There's some really good scientific, educational-based videos, graphics, cartoons on YouTube that you can find. That was very helpful for me understanding the anatomy of it, because it's not just in one location. It's like a wishbone. And once you watch the video, you'll understand what I mean by that. It's like a upside down wishbone in a sense. We went to Korea and we were having a huge seafood feast with my family. There was mussels there, and I looked at this mussel, and it looked strangely enough like female anatomy, right?
Like a vulva.
Like a vulva and everything there,
and with the clitoris on top too.
So if you like seafood, look at the mussels, cooked mussel, right? And I showed it to Melanie, and I was like, "Looks like something I would eat." You know, I was making a joke of like, "I'm gonna eat this mussel."
And I was like, "Jerry, You know what you were saying.
My mom overheard that.
You know it
I
had
knew
a double meaning.
Yeah,
You were
but like I
being
didn't think anybody else was listening. I was in
You
my
knew you were
world,
talking out loud.
and I
Like,
guess
don't
just
even play.
right. So I was embarrassed, but look at the muscle, you know, and you'll see it, and you'll be like, "Whoa, Jerry was right."
Well, I'd want to say to the almost newlyweds is that sex is holy and a way towards your sanctity. The devil does not want you uniting with your spouse. The devil doesn't want two souls coming so close together that way to truly, as the Bible says, become one flesh. And every time a married couple in the state of grace unites, you are renewing your marital vows, you renew your marital covenant, and you radiate grace out to the rest of the world. You have special marital graces from this marital act that will help and carry you throughout marriage. I just think it's really important that we don't think of sex as something dirty, something that should be far away and never talked about. Oh no, it's this dirty thing that nobody ever should say the word sex out loud. Like, it should be normalized as this beautiful thing that God designed, God made it, and
man corrupted.
And man corrupted it. True. And since God made it, this is not bad. It is good. It is holy.
Well, I went to daily mass today, and in the readings of how Adam and Eve, well, really it was Eve that like gave the fruit to Adam.
Okay, but Adam could have been a strong man and said, "No, we're not gonna do that today."
So okay, they ate the fruit, right? And that's when they realized they were naked. So, in essence, nakedness is not sinful. It's the revealing of it that the porn industry, that the fashion industry has made it to where the reveal or just like slight covering makes it erotic in a way. But the human body in its nakedness is not really erotic. Eroticism exists from the revealing of it, or like teasing. That's what it is. It's the teasing of it. And in our faith, everything that is sacred is veiled, which is why the symbolism of white on your wedding day for the bride, and the groom wears black because they're dying to their bachelor self, is how our priest described it. Anyways, last final advice to the newly married couple is just don't treat it like a chore. We're coming up on 3 years this year, which is amazing. Take every advantage that you can. And what's really nice is when the woman's pregnant, you don't have to worry about her getting pregnant anymore.
Because she's already pregnant. So you can have all the sex you want. As you go on with your marriage and you have children, well, even before you have children, I mean, at any point, like when life gets busy, you have to be intentional with sex. And women want to be pursued. We want intention. Spontaneity is great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, spontaneous sex is great. But I'm sorry, who do you think is really having more sex? The single people who are just like trying to hit it and quit it, or the married people who commit to weekly sex nights on Wednesday? I'm just throwing that out there. Like, Wednesday nights are sex nights. Like, who do you really think has better sex lives?
Yeah, married people have the best sex.
You know?
Because
I mean,
they
just
know the
like,
person.
let's just think about it, like, rational. Oh, that's another thing, too. Now that I've experienced sex and how vulnerable it is, like, in your naked state, navigating, like, what do I like, what do I not like, verbalizing these things, reaching orgasm, I just can't imagine, like, doing that experience with a stranger who has no idea who you are, probably could not care less.
It becomes
And you're doing
self-gratification
this
at
for
that
one
point.
time,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot imagine any girl orgasming with a guy that they just met that night. Like, I mean, not saying it's impossible, but what? And he doesn't know you. He doesn't know your body. He doesn't know what you like, what you don't like. What? So that's good thing when you're married is that it's a skill that you grow and
Together.
you get to learn together. So
yeah, I love you.
So to summarize, um, towel, lube, have friends make up the room, communication doesn't have to be awkward.
Our friends on our wedding night had left a prayer, which was so nice, so sweet, because it really means that you should surround yourself with people who have been invested or are invested in your relationship, because it just makes it that much um, more intimate and more special. Like when we called up our friends and showed them the positive pregnancy test, nobody was shocked. It was joy. And so it should be joyful, just like sex. It should be joyful. It should be sometimes laughing, but ultimately, when mommy and daddy love each other very much,
they renew their marital vows.
And
that's what we should say. They renew their marital vows and they make you.
Yes, that's what we'll tell JT, our son.
I remember you and I must have still been engaged, and I was asking advice from a colleague peer who had gotten married a little bit earlier than us, and I was asking her, okay, but realistically, what do I do? Like, you just got married, the reception's over, you walk into the wedding night room, and like, what do I do? Like, I just didn't understand. Like, how do you go from like standing in the doorway in your dress and then somehow you're having sex? Like, I didn't understand. Like, how do I get there to there? And she told me some advice that I did take was like, well, I had a friend like set up the room, like she also told me like towel, like we had a towel on the side. I don't know if she told me they had lube on the side, but there was a towel. We had lube on the side.
Which the person should remove the seal, because
there's a seal.
That definitely
don't do your friends dirty like that to have a frustrating moment where they're trying to put the lube on and they can't squeeze anything out. Don't zoom like that. Take the seal off. And she told me, and I had some lingerie hanging up in the closet, so that
great move.
So that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the restroom and freshen up, hee hee ha ha, or slip into something a little bit more comfortable, like something like that. And so I took that advice and I did the same thing. I had my lingerie that my girly pops gave me from my bachelorette party. I had my favorite one hung up. So I knew where it was. Jerry didn't know where it was. And then, I go off. I'm like, hee hee ha, just a moment. And then I changed. And so to my girly pop, this is like, I guess she and I go off to the restroom. And then this is my advice to her. Well, first of all, he needs to find your clitoris. But then second of all, it's good to feel confident and sexy. I mean, if you want to stay in your wedding dress, you can. You can. Okay, do what you want. This is just what I did. Some advice that I got and advice that I would give to other friends is if you want to feel more confident and sexy and just like ready, like this is my first time and it's going to be great because I'm doing it with my best friend. Have that piece of lingerie that you are excited about, that your girly pops got you, and have that hung and go off and change, and then you step out, and then your now husband's like, locked jaw. He's like,
jaw on the floor, yeah.
He's like, awooga, bazooka.
Yeah, the eyes pop out. I mean, I think I was just like, oh my gosh, just admiring. For all the single ladies out there,
all the single ladies,
you wanna find a guy that looks at you with like admiration, just in your normal everyday clothes, and you'll know that they really love you. This is before and after marriage too. It's like they'll love you when you're having a bad hair day. and they'll love you even more when your estrogen is up and you're in the lingerie and you're flipping your hair back and forth.
They'll love you when they see you on the operating table for your C-section.
Oh my gosh.
Cut open,
yes.
so that way they can literally say that I love you
inside and out. I
You're
love that I was
beautiful
able to
inside
say
and out.
that. I think I said that on the operating table. I was like, hey, now I can say you look beautiful inside and out, and everyone kind of chuckled a little bit.
Yeah.
There's definitely layers to every person.
But
literally.
Ogres are like onions. And so are C-sections. So this morning on my Clearblue monitor, I got peak, which means my estrogen is risen, my LH has surged, and I'm probably ovulating or going to ovulate.
You felt ovulation pain at dinner?
I did. At dinner, I felt some ovulation pain.
The egg releasing.
So comment down below, should Jerry and I create a baby today on Valentine's Day?
But this is not going to
Yes or no? This is a joke.
Okay. This is a new couch, by the way.
So I guess you'll find out in 9 months. We have not yet made love on this couch. It's brand new today. But we'll find out in 9 months in November if Mel and Jer made love on Valentine's Day.
Oh my god.
That's all I have to say. Any last words, Jerry?
And this is something that the priest said at Mass. He acknowledged that it is St. Valentine's Day, and regardless of the people that we love, that God loved us first, and that God will always love us, and through that we need to give God our love. It's not just my spouse that I love, it's God that I want to be able to renew. So, and
uniting with your spouse is a way towards sanctity and marriage. Like, sex isn't dirty. It is a part of the way towards chastity. It is a part of living out chastity when you're married. Like, that is the state of life that you are in, and that is a part of chastity in marriage, is sex. And it is a way towards sanctification. Imagine the saints, the married saints, like Saints Louis and Zélie, the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux, Saint Anne and Saint Joachim, the parents of the Blessed Mother, other married saints. They had sex. It's not dirty. Sex. Saints can have sex. Maybe that should be the title of this podcast. Saints can have sex.
Oh boy.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you in the next one. Over and out.